What's good, YouTube? I'm back at you with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down this mixed media music video effect. I've seen this effect pop up in several videos over the past few months, but I think they're using this After Effects plugin. Unfortunately, for the time being, we don't have a preset or a plugin for Davinci Resolve. Let me cook. Until said time, you can use this workflow on both the free and studio version of Davinci Resolve. We're going to create this effect all digitally. However, we will be using two outside elements. You can use any paper texture that you want. I'm going to be using one from my mixed media pack. Link will be in the description. I'm also going to be using the whiteout effect from Cinepex. I'm going to leave a link in the description for their free sample that you can use in this effect. From Davinci Resolve, I already went through and masked out my subject and rendered it with an alpha background. If you need more help with that, you can check out one of these two videos. I'm only going to be focused on the subject with the alpha background. So I'm click it, and I'm going to head into Fusion. In Fusion, if you want to follow along with this particular layout, go over to Workspace, Layout Presets, Fusion Presets. You have Mid-Flow and Mid-Flow Vertical. If you're still on Davinci Resolve 18, you only have Mid-Flow. Mid-Flow Vertical was introduced in 19. The only difference is Mid-Flow has your display viewers side by side. Mid-Flow Vertical has your display viewers on top of one another. I'm going to be using the vertical layout for this. I'm going to readjust my workspace and I'm going to switch to a single viewer for now. I'm going to make it a node tree from the top down. So I'm going to move my media out down to the bottom, move my media in over, and we're going to start to build out our effect. If you're new to this layout, the hot toolbar is at the top. We're going to grab a background node. Well, actually, I'm going to select the media one and then grab a background node. Should automatically connect. Then I'm going to click on the merge one, hit Control T, and I'm going to move this merge one and the background node down to the bottom here. We're actually going to be building other effects on top of this. So now I'm going to select this background node, go over to the Inspector tab, under Type Color, select Solid Color, and switch it to Gradient. Then the Gradient type, and switch it from Linear to Radial. Then using the Start X value, I'm going to move over to the middle to set up my gradient. I'm going to move the gradient point here further up to make it bigger. Now I'm going to select my colors. I'm going to choose a kind of a light blue for this color, and for the other color, I'm going to pick a darker blue. Now the light blue I don't want as big, so I'm going to take the darker blue now and move it down on the gradient, kind of put it right behind them. Now we need to darken the edges. I'm going to click on the background node, hit Control and Space, type in Vignette. That's going to darken my edges, and you can increase the size or decrease it however you want. I think I'm going to leave it how it is by default. So now we're going to bring in our texture. I'm going to go to my media pool. I'm using texture number 9 from my mixed media pack. I'm going to bring it into the node flow and close down my media pool. This is going to come in as a media 2. If you want to, you can rename it texture. And take the output of it and connect it to the merge 1. That's going to create a merge 2. Now I'm going to click on my texture and grab a transform node from up top. And with the transform node selected, I'm also grab a brightness contrast node. I'm going to select these nodes, move them over to the side, select the brightness contrast, hit Control and Space, and type in invert. You're looking for the invert color. Now we're going to click on the merge 2, go into the Inspector tab, change the apply mode from normal to multiply. Depending on your texture, you get this debris. So now I'm going to click on the brightness contrast node, and I'm going to just adjust the gain and lift to bring in more of the texture. I'm also turning down the brightness a little bit, just to make it a little bit darker. Now I'm going to create the animated shapes. I'm going to grab a background node, take the output of this and connect it to the media 1. The new merge that's created, click on it and go into the Inspector tab, change from normal to difference. Background node, you're going to select the color, kind of give it a greenish, bluish kind of look, a little bit darker than what we've been using and a little bit more greener. And then we're going to click on the background node and grab a polygon mask. You can start from the first frame. It technically doesn't matter, but we're going to draw a shape using the mask. You can draw any shape that you want. Once you're done, go into soft edge, add just a little bit of softness, and then you're going to go through the timeline and basically change the shape from time to time. So I'm going to go about 10-15 frames in and then just change this shape to something else. The polygon masks are automatically set up for keyframes, so you don't have to do anything extra. So I'm going to go to this frame 25, change it to something else. So now when you're done, you should have a number of keyframes and you'll see the shape begin to animate throughout the timeline. Now I'm going to select these 3 nodes, going to move them up, hit Control and C or Command C if you're on Mac. Double click in empty space and you're going to hit Control Shift V. It's going to create instant nodes. You're going to hold Shift and select the instant merge, highlight your node flow and release. They're connected to the rest of your node tree. Now I'm going to click on this instance polygon, go into Inspector tab. You're going to right click on invert and de-instance the invert, de-instance the solid, and de-instance border width. Now you're going to go to the instance background node. Go to the Inspector tab, right click on the background, and then select de-instance color group. And then you're gonna change this back to black. Then click back on your polygon, and on the border width, you're gonna turn it up just a little bit. This is gonna give you this black outline. So if you see this little mask line here, you wanna get it out the way, just double click in the node flow, and you see the black outline come up. You can make it as thick or as tiny as you want to. So you want to be relatively small, you can keep it like that. It's basically kind of give it this more cartoonish, animated like look to it. Now we're going to replicate this. So we're going to copy all these nodes, hit Control C. Going to move up on the node flow, double click an empty space, hit Control V. You can do this as many times as you want to. I'm just going to do it this 2 times though. I'm going to hold Shift and make sure these nodes are connected. Now I'm going to click on this polygon 1-1. I'm going to inspect the tab on the center X and Y. I'm just going to move it over to the side. If you move it over and you see it turn black like that, make sure you check your merge nodes. Like my first merge here, the 3-1 is not connected. So I'm gonna hold Shift and reconnect it. And then if you lose connection to the background node, just take the output and connect it back to the green input. If you want to keep the exact same shapes, just basically just keep copying the polygon over and over again. I want the shapes to actually be different, so I'm just gonna go back to these little keyframes and change the shape around. So go here, and then I'm just gonna move these little points to create a new shape. And the points I created with this shape remain the same. So now you play it back, you get 2 different shapes. Again, you can do this as many times as you want to. I'm just gonna stop here though. Now I'm gonna click on this background node and grab a transform node. I'm gonna click your transform node, hit Control C, and click on my instance background node and hit Control Shift V. Using these transform nodes, we're gonna animate these around the screen. So we're gonna click on transform, go to the inspector tab on center X and Y, just right click, modify width, and select perturb. Go to the modifier, and you'll see it begin to animate across the screen. You can increase the speed if you want, the wobble, and of course the strength. Of course, the higher the numbers are, the crazier it get. Let me turn this back down. And then you can kind of move it on the X and Y axis too to try to keep it in frame, and turn down the wobble, and probably just increase the speed just a little bit. And you want to use the instant, that way your black outline also animate with the shape. So then we're going to repeat that process with the secondary shape. So we're going to click on background node, transform node, click the transform, hit Control or Command C, click on the instance, hit Control Shift V or Command Shift V, or is it Command Option V, one of those. Then we're going to click on the original transform 3, right click on center X and Y, modify width, perturb, click on the modifier, turn the speed just a little bit, and probably move it on the X axis just a little bit just to keep it in frame. Probably move it up on the Y axis just a little, and maybe turn down the strength a little bit. Hey, if you're enjoying the video thus far, make sure you hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you know when I upload new videos. Now I'm going to create another shape, but this is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to create a displacement. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So I'm going to go up to my toolbar and grab a background node, and then I'm going to grab a merge node. I'm going to take the output of that background, connect it to the input of the merge, which is the yellow input here. Then I take the output of my media 1 and connect it to the green foreground input of the merge. Clicking on that merge, going to the inspector tab, I'm going to change the operator to N. Then I'm clicking the background node. I'm going to grab a rectangle mask. I'm going to go to the first frame of the clip, and I'm going to turn my mask down to a relatively small size and set keyframes. Click on this merge 4, go to my toolbar, grab a transform, put it behind it. And now I want to copy all this. So I'm going to copy these nodes, hit Control or Command C, double click an empty space, hit Control or Command, and then hit Control Shift V. Move these over. Then I'm going to take the output of my media 1 and connect to this green input of this merge instance. I'm going to click on the merge instance, go into the inspector tab. Where it says operator, I'm going to right click and de-instance it. Then I'm going to change this to a top. Then I go into my instance rectangle mask, and I'm going to de-instance border width, de-instance the invert, and de-instance the solid. And then I'm going to turn up the border width, which at this time you can't see what's going on because it's not connected to the main node tree. So I'm going to take the output of the transform 4, connect it to the instance transform, which created another merge. Move this to the side. I'm going to take the output of that merge 5 and connect it back to the media 1. It's going to give me merge 6. So they go back to the transform instance. I'm going to uncheck solid. And now you have this little border width. Double click empty space to get rid of that mask. I'm gonna soften the corners or round the corners out. And then I'm gonna go into this transform here. And I'm gonna increase the size. You should see, this is what I mean by displacement. Everything within that mask will become larger because I increased the size of it. Now I want to animate the mask. I'm gonna go back to my original rectangle where I set the keyframes at the first frame. And just like the previous mask, I'm just gonna go every so many frames setting new. And just like these masks here, I'm just gonna go every so many frames and changing the size. So I'm gonna go about 10, 15 frames in and increase the width and maybe lower down the height. You can do whatever you want to. So now if you play the mask, you can do different animations. If you want the displacement to stand out more, click on the transform and just increase the size more. Then we're gonna go to the rectangle mask. And just like the previous mask, we're gonna animate it. So we're gonna go to the rectangle mask on this X and Y axis within the inspector tab, right click, modify width, perturb. I'm gonna click on the modifiers and basically gonna watch the animation of it. I'm gonna turn down the Y axis just a little bit and turn down the wobble a little bit and increase the strength just a little. So now it's creating this displacement effect every time it scrolls across him. To put more emphasis on this effect, you can click on the merge 6, go to apply mode, and change it to difference. Every time you go across him, you get this effect. Or if you want to, you can actually move these nodes over to the side, select these nodes, move over. And if you download the color modifier from Reactor, click on merge 5, hit control and space, type in color. Actually, I think it's on the MT color. The MT colorama. So now you have the colorama effect that only affect this masked area. I would personally go back into the instance node and turn down that border width and make this mask a little bit smaller. Then of course you can tweak the colors by changing the hue shift and everything like that. If you want it to be not so bright, move this to the side, click on colorama, and then grab the brightness contrast node, and then turn down the brightness. Now, next step, we're going to click on our media 1, which actually this should have been the first step, but we're going to hit control space and bring in a drop shadow. You're going to detach the because it's actually in the wrong spot and make sure it's connected to this yellow input. That way the drop shadow only applies to our subject. Turn it to the strength, and the drop distance, and the blur. That'll give us some separation from the background. Then going back down here to the bottom, I'm going to click on this merge 2, hit control space, type in grain. It's going to add a lot more texture to our effect. So if you want to, you can turn up the power, add more texture, and bring softness. You can soften it out, or you can make it larger. That part's pretty much up to you. And then underneath the grain, go hit control space and type in stop motion. And go to frame repeat in the inspector tab. Click on this one, turn it down to 2. And that's going to give me a stop motion animation. Now for the final step, we're going to bring in the elements from the Cinepack's free sample pack. I'm going to go to my media pool. I'm going to grab this transition one, which is transition 3. Take the output of this, which now is the media 2, and connect it to this merge 6. And if you play it back, it should be on top of your subject. I'm going to click on that merge node and go into the inspector tab and select operation from over and switch it to under. Now it's only 24 frames, so it'll play out this animation and go away, and then the rest of your clip will play out. So around about, let's see here, around about frame 30 or so, I'm gonna bring in another element. I'm bringing the paint line, took the output of it and connected to merge 7. Click on that merge 8. Now you can leave this on front if you want to, or if you want it behind your subject, just go back to operator and change it to under. So now with that second element, if I play them at the same time, you won't be able to see both of them, but they are playing at the exact same time. So to keep the two elements from clashing with one another, if I stroll to about, let's just say frame 34, 35, I'm gonna click on 34. I'm gonna click on that media 3, go in the inspector tab, where it says hold first frame. I'm gonna click on this and click 34. So now it's gonna hold that first frame for 34 frames. So it's gonna play, play, play. As you can see it sitting, you can see it sitting right there, but it's just like another paint element. So then it won't actually play until frame 34. And it's basically just a paint straight line. You can put a couple of these in there create different animations. And let's go back to media and get this little paint mock-up here. Repeat the same steps. Click on the media, click on the merge, change it to under, and then I'm gonna click on the media forward. I'm gonna hold this frame to about, let's just say frame 60. And this all depends on the length of your, holding the first frame basically depends on the length of your clip. Since my clip has 103 frames in it, these little clips here are too short to have multiples in because they all play at the exact same time. So if you have a long clip and you want to kind of stack these effects, this is the way you can do it. So since it holds about frame 60, the other one is still there, then you get these scribble lines come in the background. Then you still got your displacement going, and you got the other shape. You can put as many shapes as you want to. You can put other displacement shapes. One last thing, we're gonna go back to our texture. One last thing, we're gonna go back to the texture, click on the transform node, and then we're gonna animate the texture. We're gonna keep it simple and basically create a rotation. I'm gonna go to the inspector tab, right click, select modify width, atom curves, go to the modifiers, change source from transition to duration, and we can leave it linear since we're looking for that stop motion effect anyway. I'm gonna leave it set at 360. You can change the number to 720 or however you want to. And that's basically gonna animate the texture.